My name is Stefan Clatworthy and I live in Bristol. This film is about Bristol's public transport services and how accessible they are. I have been travelling on a diverse range of transport to gather research. I have also questioned others on their experiences. From my experience, I found buses to be very cramped, with little room for my wheelchair. Sometimes there would be no free seats for my carers to sit by me. I feel that I don't get a great view out of the bus and I can't go upstairs. I am often going backwards, which can feel disorientating. There is such little space with only enough room for one wheelchair user or two prams. Mothers with prams use the same space. And in rush hour there is often not space to get on the bus at all, leaving wheelchair users waiting for the next bus, hopeful that there is a space on the next bus. Sometimes the wait is very long. On top of these issues, I often feel like I am in the way of other passengers when I'm on the bus. I asked my friends what they thought of public transport. I found that many of them have or drive adapted vehicles, mainly because they find public transport too difficult or inaccessible. Here is what some of my friends and family had to say about public transport.
I have used trains, and I use an app called Passenger Assist, where you can plan your journey and plan it already, and then they already know that you're coming, so they already have the ramp set up, so you can get on the train fine, and then they will be also ready for you at your destination, so you haven't got anything to worry about. But buses, by the way, are absolutely dire. Because you only allow one wheelchair user per spot. So if there's already someone on the bus, then you're just going to be sitting there for ever and ever until another bus comes, which is absolutely insane. So sort it out, will you?
Living here in the village of Culprit Heath, the buses to certain... It's not too bad to go into Bristol, because it's normally every half an hour. But if you want to go to Southmead, for instance, or Cribbs Causeway or that, the buses only come, the buses come like once an hour if you're lucky. And when my son was at college at SGS, he had to catch a bus. 9 times out of 10, the bus would be late or wouldn't come. I think they've slightly improved in that we can't go down the Badminton Road anymore. So we have the Y1 and the Y2 coming down Church Road. But yeah, it's not ideal, because I think a lot more buses could be coming, especially to places like Southmead, far and few between.
I was just telling Stefan that this week I've done my minibus driver training with Andy. So as a volunteer, I can drive the minibus on occasions when they're either short of the driver or when I can specifically provide some time. So it was really good for me, because I had some insight into driving the minibus and making sure all the passengers are safely put in and taken out and strapped in for safety. And then also he made sure I was a good enough driver to not cause problems on the road. It's a bit different driving a minibus to driving a car for yourself. But I don't use public transport very often at all, Stefan. Not because I wouldn't love to, but because where I live is out in the back of beyond, and there's only one bus that runs sort of, maybe if you're lucky, half a week, once every fortnight. But when I have been on buses, the thing I have found, buses, trains, is the continuity. There's no continuity in the services that are offered. So the trains, they don't run with any general sort of continuity. It's 1 minute it's one thing, the next it's another. And certainly from a passenger perspective, it never seems the same. And also what I find very bizarre, you can buy a ticket for your destination, and you've got your number, your seat number and the rest of it, and then you might be sat in that seat and all of a sudden someone will come along and they've got the same ticket with the same seat number as you have. And I've never worked that one out either, so it's quite interesting. But I think one of the things that's quite good about the having to get supported transport, which is another area that you can sometimes get, is that there are services and people that offer pickups from certain places, and I think that's WEX. I think that's a service that people can ring and they'll come to a destination of choice, a bus stop of choice, and pick you up and take you to where you want to be. So I think that's WEX. You have to have a look and find out more about it.
I find going on the bus okay. I am able to get on and off the bus with the ramp and sit in the disabled area of the bus. If I do go on the bus, I go at quiet times.
I found from my experience taking Stefan on numerous different journeys on buses and trains that when accessing trains, there's been plenty of space to get the wheelchair on and off of the train and space to manoeuvre. But our experience on every bus journey was in 2 different wheelchairs. We struggled to get on the bus, and particularly manoeuvring whilst on the bus and trying to get off. And it was never ever easy trying to get off of the bus, as shown in some of the footage we have captured.
My experience using the rail service was more positive than using the buses. As mentioned by Elena, I found them easier and more spacious. I planned 2 separate journeys on the train on different days, one using passenger assist and one without, to compare the differences. The day we didn't use passenger assist was also the day we realized that the entrance at Parsons Street wasn't accessible as it only had stairs. This delayed our journey and meant we had to get on another bus to take us to Temple Meads train station. It wasn't just the inconvenience, it was also the lack of information given at the time. I feel that if I had used passenger assist for this journey, I would have been informed that it wasn't accessible. When we got home, we checked the website to find that Parsons Street had less than clear information whether it had disabled access or not. I found it quite easier getting onto the train, as we only had to ask for assistance with the ramp. The difficulty came when it was time to get off the train, as nobody knew we were on it, and we had to call out for someone to bring the ramp and let us off. Other than that issue, the rest of the journey was good. I had lots of space for myself, my carers and my dog. My journey using passenger assist was an even better experience. The app was really easy to use and the staff at Temple Meads train station were very helpful and informative. As it was my first time using the app, I was a little bit unsure how it all worked. But after using it for that journey, I would definitely use passenger assist again if I had to. When using passenger assist, a member of staff is made available to assist you with the ramp getting on and off at both ends. So no worrying when it's eventually time to get off the train. Someone even calls you if they can't find you in the train station and makes sure you get on the train. I really enjoyed this journey and I felt well taken care of. After I had a great experience on the train using passenger assist, it was then time to get a bus back to my house. But when it came to getting the 24 bus home, it was cancelled. Something I knew happens quite regularly. The next bus was another 20 minutes, and I had already waited a long time for the bus that was cancelled. I needed to go home for my medication. So we tried to call for a taxi. We googled accessible taxis in Bristol and found lots of numbers. But after ringing 7 different taxi firms, I had no luck, and this resulted in waiting for the next bus. This meant we got home later than expected, and I feel that this would be very stressful if I had to rely on the buses or taxis. My brother Ben, who is a journalist who has also done his own research on this subject, has the following to say.
Many airports are not fit for disabled passengers. The high lift, which is used to reach the plane door when there's no air bridge, are often old, cold and dirty. Contract staff working at the airport are often not properly trained and patronise the passengers, sometimes as if they're stupid. I've seen careless baggage handlers who's damaged my brother's wheelchair and made no apology. On board, some airlines shove disabled people in the cramped back rows while the loos are too small for a passenger and a carer to use. For many disabled people, what I've seen is that air travel particularly is frankly dignity destroying. But it's not just planes. A ramp to get onto a train must be booked in advance, only for staff, often, sometimes, to be rude or unhelpful. And I've heard many examples of this fail to turn up altogether. Wheelchair space on trains is getting better with new rolling stock, but in older carriages, space is limited, and often disabled toilets are out of order. But taxis are worse still. While councils insist that vehicles are accessible, there's no obligation on the drivers to keep ramps maintained. I've been in Bristol, where I've seen my brother pass down an entire rank by law-breaking taxi drivers who are either too lazy to get the ramp out or claim it's broken. It's all too easy for them to turn a blind eye to disabled travellers. Sometimes I think that decisions are made by able-bodied executives at transport companies who have absolutely no idea about the realities of someone in a wheelchair or with sight or hearing loss. The fact is that more disabled people than ever are travelling, which should be celebrated, but serious money needs to be invested in infrastructure for them. Sadly, until it is, the injustice and humiliation that many disabled passengers face at airports, on planes and trains is only going to get worse.
I myself am fortunate to have my own accessible vehicle and carers to get me where I need to go. Here is one of my carers, Robin, with her view on the subject.
In the last 2 years I've worked closely with Stefan, it's made me realise how hard it can be in some places to find enough disabled parking spaces. Some places are just not easy to access, and even when there are disabled parking spaces, there aren't always enough available.
To conclude, we found that there are some great services to aid accessibility on public transport like Passenger Assist and Wecker, but feel that there could be many improvements, particularly to the bus and taxi services. Please stay tuned. My next film will be about camping in Devon. Thank you for watching.